Hey guys, welcome back to Cyberspace Investigations. It certainly isn't summer anymore. It must mean the Shine sprites are missing. Today we're going to be tackling the most divisive 3D Mario game out there, Super Mario Sunshine. After Super Mario 64 was released in 1996, Nintendo continued on with the N64, releasing a bunch of other critically acclaimed games for the console. However, by the turn of the millennium in 2000, the N64 was becoming old news. The PS2 was on the verge of coming out and the Dreamcast had been out for a few years at that point. Thus, Project Dolphin was created. This was Nintendo's next-gen system and it was going to be really powerful. And when it came out in 2001, Luigi's Mansion was a launch title, but Mario himself would star in his own game a year later.
Super Mario Sunshine took the same form as 64 in its level design, multiple missions in the same world with slight changes to the level depending on the mission. However, this form would evolve, or devolve in some eyes, with the removal of in-world collectibles, making each shine confined to its own episode. This removed some of the freedom present in 64, as you could no longer skip entire worlds during your playthroughs. This makes replay value go down a significant amount though. However, this didn't take away from the scope, as Sunshine feels way more connected than its predecessor. That's mainly due to the hardware paired with it. The Gamecube was significantly more powerful than the 64, and with a much more normal controller, this was turning out to be another legend. Problem was, to make it unique from 64, they added a gimmick: Flood. Mario was packing heat with a deadly super soaker that was extremely versatile in its abilities, from augmenting movement in multiple ways, making platforming more precise, and of course, fighting. Long gone were the days of Mario just jumping on enemies. The times had changed, and now more enemies required other ways of defeating. Flood replaced the punching, kicking, and breakdancing seen in Mario 64, while the dives stayed fairly the same, though this time mapped to its own dedicated button, rather than a combination of crouching, jumping, and pressing another button. Added oomph to the dive comes in the form of water-based momentum. Spray some water right in front of you, and Mario will take off at enormous speeds when diving. This is the fastest way to get around the map, and you'll definitely be needing it because these maps are massive. Flood has 4 modes, the main being a water gun. With the right trigger, you can aim it more precisely or push the stick down for even preciser aiming. The second mode, and the default alt when entering a level, is the hover nozzle. This allows for precision platforming, something needed with slightly floatier jumps than in 64. It's not infinite and runs out after a short time, but it is certainly useful. The third and fourth modes are swapped out with the hover nozzle. These modes are a bit more optional and not entirely needed for many missions. The rocket nozzle lets you blast super high up into the air, and it's fairly useful when trying to reach higher platforms. The turbo nozzle allows Mario to move really fast, and actually beats the water dive in terms of speed. I find it the rarest of the 3 that you find out in the world, but that just may be because I haven't played enough.
So, remember when I said the worlds here were large? I wasn't kidding. These levels have gotta be at least twice the size of 64s in some cases, and the verticality included in every single level makes them proper improvements over what 64 offered.
Super Mario Sunshine gives us 7 levels as well as a hub world. The hub, Delfino Plaza, is an improvement over Peach's Castle in that it has real NPCs and feels quite a bit more alive than its predecessor. Like Mario 64, some shine sprites can be obtained through the hub world, and there's even a shop where blue coins can be traded for sprites. It's an interesting system and a first for 3D Mario. For the levels themselves, I'd say they have more overall to do than 64. They all feel pretty compact, and with the amount of episodes in Sunshine compared to 64, these areas create a sense of worth some levels in 64 lacked. Take Bianco Hills, the first stage. It has 7 sprites, same as the levels from 64. Each of them take longer to complete than the longest stars in 64's first level, Bob on Battlefield. Since each sprite is contained in its own episode, the layout can change a variable amount between sprites. Some will open with a path to the special course, disconnected from the rest of the level. Some levels will have secret shines that take away FLUDD. These are all the best levels, straight platforming, pure-based linear levels. But what about all the other shines? Well, some of them are like boss stages in Mario 64. You get somewhere through the level and fight a boss, whether it be Proto Piranha Plant, Glooper Blooper, or Shadow Mario. Others are platforming in a non-linear platforming challenge with enemies and unforgiving falling off. To get to these levels, you gotta get through some challenge first. These are the best levels in the game, there's no gimmick, and it was designed with no FLUDD in mind, so it really feels like the precursor to Super Mario Galaxy. Some levels have Yoshi in them, making his first playable 3D Mario debut. He sprays some kind of juice from his mouth. It's pretty weird, but Yoshi disintegrates when touching water, which makes me wonder,
does Yoshi even exist?
This game is challenging. If you thought Mario 64 was a hard game, Sunshine's probably gonna give you a hard time. The jumping physics are just different enough from 64 to trip me up. FLUDD does circumvent this, but I would have preferred more consistent physics. In terms of graphics, this is a huge upgrade from 64. It shows off the true power of the Gamecube, and it almost looks like it could seriously be a Wii game, or even a Wii U game if it was styled a bit. This game also features a great deal more voice acting than 64. No longer is it just yahoos, NPCs actually have voices, and there are plenty more dialogue from them too. The residents of Isle Delfino have an actual personality compared to the few toads locked within Peach's castle. In that game, it made sense. Bowser had kidnapped or locked out almost all the toads. Why would there be that many? Here, each level is filled with the inhabitants of the dolphin-shaped island. They can have different things to say depending on what shine you're in. Some gain abilities after a certain amount of time or want you to do something in return for something else. For the ones that have shines, why aren't they giving them to the police? I mean, it's the island's power source. If you pay attention to the news reports, they say they're losing contact with areas of the island due to lack of shines. But when we get to the Tanuki brothers, these guys, which bring into the question what the Tanuki suit even is, sell you one shine for 10 blue coins. Blue coins are scattered throughout all the levels and carry over, so you can gather some and quit the level, which I do find very convenient. Some of them are hidden very well, and for full completion you'll have to find every single blue coin. Some NPCs will also give you blue coins for completing side quests in the hub world. It's pretty interesting. Sunshine ends up being the most saturated 3D game out of the original few, with the biggest hub, richest world, and plenty more side content than 64.
Super Mario Sunshine would be the last non-linear 3D Mario game until 2017's Odyssey. A lot of things were lost in its absence. Larger levels, multiple objectives in each level, and a bigger sense of story, at least later down the line. But would I recommend the game? Well, yes, but just not for full completion. Which version would I recommend, as there are now multiple versions of the game? I would say you should play the Super Mario 3D All-Stars version until it goes away in March 2021, which at that point I guess you really have no choice but to either emulate it or play the Gamecube original on its intended hardware. Sadly, I think the game is a bit too challenging for what it's trying to be, especially when you go for completion. There are some really cheap shines here that make the experience a bit more cumbersome than it could be otherwise. Well, hold on. I didn't hear that. Oh, yeah. Hey man, how's it going? Oh, really? Oh, you got a new guy. Cool. I don't really, Oh! Oh, yeah, I think I did a pretty good job on those. Oh, viewership's way down, huh? So... Oh, really? Oh, you want me to come back? Well, sure, buddy, I'll do it. See you in 10. Well, looks like I'm rehired. Goodbye-bye homelessness.